don't ride the hype and focus on long-term goals, crypto gives you that freedom that you can move your money anytime. You can do whatever you want with your money without actually explaining people why you need it.
I'm Barbara Lerins, and you are listening to Bitcoin Kebab, the podcast from Bitcoin Basis. Hi, Vugar. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I'm super excited. And also, I love kebab, right? Because I'm Turkish. It shall be a very tasty and exciting conversation.
Yeah, it's already. So then you're gonna be like the most authentic guests of Bitcoin Kebab now. So shall we start with your orange pill moment? How did you meet with Bitcoin?
Honestly, it's a very good story, and it's actually the story there and the reason I came to crypto. I was like a 20 something back in 2016-17. I was working in a startup, and we were lucky enough to exit. And after I took my money, I was super excited to see a big numbers in my bank account. I finally felt that I really made it. But it was also a drama moment because then banks start calling and I actually couldn't access my money because I had to prove them this is mine. Like boxes and boxes of documents proving that I'm a shareholder and why I got this, getting all these tax documents that, I paid enough taxes, I didn't pay enough taxes. And every time I wanted, because when you give some money to the 25-year-old, what he does, right? He wants to buy a car, get an apartment, be like, do nice stuff. And every time I needed to access my cash, the bank would give me a hustle. Why do you need this money? It's like, come on, it's my money. Like, why do I have to tell you why I need my money? I was super fed up with my bank. Last drop of this being fed up and looking for an alternative as my bank, like, wealth manager called me. He's like, oh, you have your money, like, you have to invest it and so on. If you do it, like, our return is around 1.5%. And when you sell your company in like a 8x multiplier, this 1% is nothing. Like, it was so funny for me. I was like, okay, it's not gonna happen. And I decided to debank myself, took most of my money, first invested in Bitcoin, freedom, independence, my money. I can move it whenever I want, and I don't have to answer anyone because I already made my own money. Like, why am I again proving the bank why I need the cash? That was like a key moment. And since that, I invested to a lot of crypto companies. And for the people who've been around crypto in 2017, 18, I think it was the most exciting moment in the crypto because that moment was exactly when all these ICO booms happening. Most of the exchanges were found, like BitGet itself. A lot of crypto VCs came into the scene. It was like a super exciting time, but also it was like a super dangerous and crazy time. A lot of people lost money, including myself, in some investments, but also there were so many great ventures that were found at the same time back in 2017, 18, that today are like a shaping global economy in terms of the crypto. And yeah, that was my orange pill moment that sometimes having, in crypto, we love to say not your keys, not your money point, but also crypto gives you that freedom that you can move your money anytime. You can do whatever you want with your money without actually explaining people why you need it. And today, in most of the countries, especially in Europe, in Australia, even if you have your money in the bank, you can't take more than $200 or euros in cash. You just bank doesn't give you or even charges commission on top of it. And to me, it's insane. Like, why am I getting my money from my account and still I have to explain people there's a limit on how much cash I can take? I think that's a very hostile, and crypto actually fixes it.
Well, that's definitely an exciting journey that you had in your early years. And how did BitGet get into the picture? Like, when did you start to work with them?
BitGet is one of my like exciting topics. As I mentioned earlier, like, I've been investing through the VCs in early days, and I've been investing in very successful ventures. And I was like always in kind of in and out with BitGet, but I took like a very hands-on approach 2.5 years ago. I come from a very big like a marketing background. I've been chief marketing officer at like a global companies, and that's how I came to BitGet, like focusing on the marketing. This was again exciting time when BitGet was partnering with Lionel Messi, World Cup. This like very cool things were happening. But also I'm like a person that in nature I always believe that if there's an issue that I can fix, I will jump and fix it. I never believed in 9 to 5. I never believed that, oh, this is my responsibility, this is not my responsibility. And within marketing, I started working with a customer care and all the other divisions, different M&As, competitor analysis lead to M&As. And eventually we realized that I have a kind of a good problem solving skill, and I ended up being the chief operating officer. And for the last 2 years, I've been in this position, and I'm very proud to lead a team of 1,800 people across 60 nations. And let me brag a little bit about numbers also. Like when I took over, BitGet had only 12 million users. We were around top 20 exchanges. Today, we are serving 100 million people proudly across the globe, moving $20 billion, and we are world's second largest crypto exchange. And this is like really makes me proud because I believe my hard work and my team's hard work actually made our dreams come true.
Yeah, that's for sure. But what I hear from this, like you said that in your early years you worked for a startup, which makes me think that it was more of like a smaller company. And how did you handle the jump between like a smaller startup and then?
No, actually, it wasn't. It wasn't as big as BitGet, but it was valued at 2.7 billion. It was one of the largest, but it was a Web 2 startup on a
Uh-huh.
digital advertising and marketing. But the reason, like, or the way I came to crypto was through the initial investments because since having some opportunities to invest to the large startups, both within Web 2 and Web 3. I kind of opened a door for myself of
Mhm.
the crypto investment, and that's how I came to the scene. I worked with several large crypto ventures. I've been CMO for one of the largest crypto news portals called Being Crypto, with that serves like in 16 languages to 65 countries with probably
Mhm.
20 million users, monthly users. Therefore, that was like a very big journey for me that I always say like the crypto kind of swallows you. You can't just be an observer. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna just come do one thing. You come and one thing leads to another, and you eventually end up like it becomes your lifestyle.
Yeah, that's true. And then you drink and sleep crypto, and then that becomes your whole life. So how does like self custody comes together with being part of a centralized exchange? Like, do you try to like give the power back to the people, or like what's the main thing? Like, do you encourage them to move the funds to self custody, the funds that they are not trading, or like how does it work?
I always say everything comes with a risk, right? It is about self custody has its own risks. We know this very famous story of a British guy whose girlfriend threw a hard drive with so many bitcoins, and he was battling with the landfill waste management company to come and look through the trash. I know so many people who lost their keywords, seed phrases. I know so many people who did a wrong setup in Ledger and lost an access, or people who actually like physically damaged their wallet. Therefore, when you have a custody, yes, it's all yours, but also there's a risk that you can lose an access. And also, we know what's happened with FTX case and many other cases that proves that yes, probably not your seed was not your keys, not your wallet. I have a kind of a different strategy because sometimes I believe that putting all your eggs in one basket is not smart, especially in a market like crypto where things move so fast. Sometimes 1 2 minutes will actually cost you millions. Therefore, I have kind of a three fund baskets. My first fund basket is this assets that I know that I will never sell. I've been bullish on Bitcoin. I've been dollar cost averaging for many years. There are some assets that I'm 100% sure that it's a long-term investment. I don't want to do anything. I want them to be safe, and I want to be in a detached from kind of an internet place that can be hacked, can't be accessed. I do have that kind of a cold storage, safe box, much safe place. But this is for like let's say your pension fund, your like a this hard assets that you're 100% sure you don't want to play. Then I have my second piece of assets. This is my like a kind of a play money, the money that I want to trade with, the investments, fast ins, fast outs, the things that kind of requires day-to-day actions. This money, of course, I hold in an exchange, and because why you hold an exchange? Because you want it hot, you want it accessible, you want to be able to trade, you want to be able to move your money to seize the opportunity. And then I have this third kind of a pocket or wallet, which is about the assets that are not as hard as the cold wallet, but they're also not as kind of easy move. This money is that if the right opportunity comes, for example, I have, I don't know, X amount Bitcoins that I will sell if it reaches 200K, or I have X amount of Ethereum, I will only sell if it reaches 4,000. Then this money I do have on exchange, but I stake them. Basically, I stake them because I know that points that were tops I want to sell or bottoms I want to buy, or the other way around, there's a minimum price that if it goes below that point I want to sell, I stake them. Because for me, the biggest downside of the cold wallet is that your money sleeps and it doesn't make money, and money should make money. And today, exchanges have so much opportunities, whether you want to borrow against your lendings, whether you want to just put into earned products. And my favorite recently, like I've been discovering a lot of cool projects through BitGet's Launchpool and PoolX. It is a principal guaranteed, very risk-free opportunities where you can stake your Bitcoin, Ethereum, BGBs, and even USDTs, and you earn tokens from a new projects. Basically, if you put $10,000, after 1 week you get your $10,000 back, USDTs back, or 10 Bitcoins back, and you get project tokens for free. And there were several project tokens that did me 30x or 20x that I literally spent nothing, which was a very good return on investment at the time. Therefore, I always recommend people that if you are afraid of trading or you don't know where to start, like staking is a very good place where you can play it safe and observe the market.
Sorry to mention a competitor, but for example, Binance's Launchpad was never a safe space. I mean, I know that they didn't really screen the projects and whatever. Like, you could list whatever you wanted there, basically. And if it wasn't there, then you could use like the decentralized version of their exchange to list your coin or token, and that's how like so many not too nice projects.
I think launch pools are different than launch pads. Launch pools where you can stake your BTC, Ethereum, USDT, where launch pads force you to buy projects tokens and stake them.
Oh, okay.
This is two different ways. BitGet also has its own launchpad, but projects we list are always very limited. Maybe 2, 3 projects in a quarter make to that stage because we vet them and we make sure that we perform. And I believe last year we our launchpad projects performed 160% better than Binance's launchpad. But Launchpool and PoolX products in BitGet is principal guaranteed. Basically, whatever money you stake, you get that money back. And when we talk about money, it is about Bitcoin, Ethereum, BGB, and USDT, which makes it much more stable in terms of the investment opportunity rather than actually buying a project token.
Okay, that's cool. Like, I just learned this today, so thank you so much. Like, I didn't
Definitely.
know the difference between the two. So, but BitGet also has their own like Web3 wallet, right? So, is that a custodial wallet? Is that a non-custodial? Like,
The wallet story is very interesting. Like 2, 3 years ago, it was like bear market. Like everyone was like cutting cost, letting go employees, and we had this bold idea that future is decentralized. People do need to have self custody if they want to. There should be an alternative, and as a true Web3 company, we shall cater to all the needs. And we went and
yeah.
invested $30 million to BitKeep wallet, became the majority stakeholder. Eventually, we rebranded it, and we wanted to be somewhere in between a wallet and an exchange. We wanted to give that custody of the wallet, but also easy to use of the exchange where you can swap and you can do something with your money. Because at that point, most of the wallets in the market is only showing you what kind of asset you have in which chain, without giving that you opportunity to see it in a chart, how market is operating, what you can do with that money. And I think today BitGet wallet success is all about actually providing the users with that great tool where they still have the custody of their wallet, but they still can swap, buy, trade, and it's an literally an access to the entire Web3 world, a decentralized world. You can virtually access every decentralized market, buy any token that ever was minted. There are more than like a 500,000 tokens. Therefore, it's a great tool, especially for, in my opinion, for advanced users who want to go and trade in the wallets, but also for the newbies who won't have their own custody. And when we talk about BitGet Wallet, we are very proud. Today we serve 60 million customers. We move around $12 billion every day. And BitGet Wallet recently surpassed both Trust Wallet and MetaMask in its downloads, becoming world's most loved and most downloaded wallet. And it's growing really fast. And as a user myself, for everyone listening to us and watching to us, I do recommend everyone go to download BitGet Wallet and use it, because it is the first time a easy way of cataloging of different projects and coins, especially for the degens listening out there. You know, the hustle of putting contract numbers and finding the right token. I think the BitGet wallet's winning feature is the easy way of finding a tokens, because as I mentioned, it has catalog of more than 500,000 tokens that ever issued. It makes it very easy to find and also very easy to stay safe, especially for those who trade like a meme tokens and new issued tokens. You know that there are millions of Elon Musk tokens, millions of, I don't know, Trump tokens, and so on and so on and so on. And it sometimes becomes very hard to find the right one you want to invest. And the cataloging actually helps you, and it makes it easy to search. And yeah, that is one of the like kind of a winning points, where BitGet wallet is actually a custodian wallet. You have your own seed phrase, you hold your assets, but on the background, it also has a great feature similar to the exchanges that will help you to actually make your money move.
So, like previously, you said that at BitGet you believed that the future is decentralized. So, do you personally believe that like hyper Bitcoinization can be achieved in our lifetime?
Yes and no. Honestly, why I'm saying this, because what was the ethos of Bitcoin, right? Ethos of Bitcoin, Satoshi's white paper, was about actually cutting off the middleman and being pure peer-to-peer payment system where we can interact with each other without a middleman. But what we today see is that Bitcoin became this souvenir collection for large institutions and governments, and more these whales appear, and everyone kind of tries to just buy and hold without transactioning with the Bitcoin, without actually using it for it meant to be, moves us to a very dangerous place. And it's not only about the use of Bitcoin, it's also about the possibilities of the manipulation by the institution to take the advantage of the Bitcoin. And whenever, because I know everyone was first very excited about ETFs, and now everyone is excited about US Reserve. But we also have to understand the power these large institutions and government hold. Their holdings are really big, and also a single news can actually shatter the market and harm the retail very much. And there's a great example of JP Morgan when they announced that they will never buy Bitcoin. Prices dropped down to 20%, and the next day the largest Bitcoin buyer was actually JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. And we saw what happened with President Trump and his tweets about reserve, where market was literally down. Some large hedge fund opened a very large long positions, and eventually tweets came and price pumped, which was a pure manipulation. And lastly, the President Trump went on a White House conference and told that yes, we're gonna do the reserve, but we are not printing dollars to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum. We're gonna just build the reserve from the seized assets. Therefore, governments and institutions, even big whales, they know the power they hold, and they can easily manipulate market to benefit themselves. And in my opinion, that is something going against the entire idea of being decentralized and everyone holding a piece and we are actually transacting and value goes up. I think that is one of the kind of a dangers, and this danger also comes with the fact that Bitcoin has a limited quantity. It is not like a money supply that you can print that it's enough for everyone. It means more and more people, institutions will fight for that. And today, when we look, I don't know how many percent of the world's population even have any digital assets holding 1%, 2%, maximum 5% in some countries. It is not enough, right? I think the industry should really grow and things should change and reshape itself before we can actually talk like about crypto overall as a global economy and Bitcoin adoption as a this truly global phenomenon. And whenever people talk about how, I don't know, America will use crypto to hedge it against your international global debt, and I always say that crypto is so small today. Crypto is $3 billion. Like if you combine two largest conglomerates in US, whether Apple with Facebook or Google with Nvidia, it's bigger than entire crypto market. And crypto is so small, and we need to achieve mass adoption and actually acceptance globally, and so many things needs to be done. And I'm really afraid that we might not see it in a short time period that as we expected, because I always say, like, since I've been in crypto since 2017, I've been hearing that, oh, next billion users, and I'm not sure where the billion users are.
Yeah, I like it that you are very honest about this situation, because obviously, like, we all want to think that, okay, in the next 5 years it's going to happen, in the next bull run it's going to happen, and so on and so forth. But until my grandma is not going to understand, or it's not in the educational system in general, it's quite hard to get people into the space, even if it's like with every cycle that we go through, it's more and more people that are entering the market. And especially, as you mentioned, with centralizing the supply, it's kind of like a risk that they are imposing on us. But I don't know, like, it's also kind of newsworthy. So at least they put the idea into the people's heads. So at least they hear about it at least once or twice. Now, like, let's move on to the news a little bit, because the Bybit hack was just a couple of weeks ago, and it's the biggest exchange hack that happened in history. How does BitGet prepare for these kind of attacks? What lessons can exchange take away from these?
Before we talk about lessons and what exchange we do, I was recently joking in another interview that we talk about the government involvement, and I think this was one of the also examples of government involvement because it's linked to North Korea. And I think that is another danger when you have these like big powers that can, I don't know, finance these kind of criminal groups. And it also gives an understanding that what government or like a big institutions can actually do in future in order to steal the assets and like kind of build this dominance, because it was very unfair to our colleagues. I don't know, I'm sure that the investigation still goes on, but it was a very high end sophisticated hack, and no one is insured, right? Things can happen, but I always take a huge pride that BitGet never had any serious security breach or attack in our history, because we have the most state of art most security measures, and also we have constant education among our team members. Everything in BitGet is multi-signature, making sure that no one single person or single-handedly can access funds. But also what makes BitGet great and what made me fell in love with BitGet even before I was an actually employee was two factors. First of all, our proof of reserves. We were one of the first exchanges actually introduced the concept. We've been publishing our proof of reserves consistently every 2 months or 3 months through the Merkle tree, showing the user assets. And we have our pledge that we will always have at least 130% of user assets. And for listeners and viewers today, what it means, if today all 100 million users of BitGet decides to take all their digital assets away, we will still have 30% more left in the exchange, showing that we have more assets than the users actually input. But also, as I mentioned, if something wrong happens, we have a BitGet's protection fund. It's the second largest in the industry. We pledge that for next 5 years it will be at least $300 million, but today it's more than $600 million, which comprised of 65,000 bitcoins, and that is kind of our pledge into making sure that we have enough assets. If something goes wrong, we can actually take assets and pay back to our customers. But on a side note, I believe Bybit Hack also was a great lesson to learn as an industry. That's how far we came. Because if something similar happens in any industry, whether retail, whether traditional bank, every competitor would jump to take a piece of an existing market. But what happened? Binance, ourselves, two, three other ventures within the crypto industry jumped in, lended Ethereum to the Bybit that they can serve their customers better. They can make sure that the customers doesn't get affected. And we also as an industry understood that we need to support each other because we don't have anyone else to come support us. Banks have central banks and governments to come bail them out. As an industry we don't have anyone, and we have to support each other, because if one fails everyone fails. And I think that lesson we all learned very hard since the FTX case. And definitely, I want to give a shout out to my dear friend Ben, Bybit CEO. He and his team showed a great masterclass in terms of crisis management and communication, and how they were very transparent with their customers and made sure that they served their customers better. And I think there's a great lesson for every crypto venture, every centralized exchange to learn from this. First, how to be transparent and fast and react to what the market is happening, and also the way that entire industry came together and actually helped Bybit in this tough situation also gives me a hope that our industry has a great future, because it's empowered by the great people who believe in a ultimate goal, who believe in a long-term possibilities and opportunities, rather than seizing the whatever is happening, or acting in a very bad manner that luckily we didn't see. And I think it's a great achievement for an industry as young as ours. I don't know how old is crypto, right? 10-15 years maximum. It is a long way that we came, that there are industries that in hundreds of years they couldn't.
Yeah, that's true. And as you mentioned, the industry is still too small, or like kind of small compared to, for example, the banking system. So now it's even more important to help each other out, because like if one of the exchanges fail at this scale, then on a larger scale it would be like harder to move along for the other exchanges as well.
Definitely, I think it is logical, right? If I don't know, if something doesn't work, or people already have a trauma, if it keeps happening and happening and happening, people will lose your trust. Whether you are centralized exchange, I don't know, if you go to the same restaurant twice and you get poisoned, probably you will never go back there, right? And it is the same situation. Therefore, sometimes the impact is so long term. You have to actually think about the not only impact as a business but whole industry, and how your actions will actually can create this butterfly effect. And this is very very important. And in my opinion, like, one of the reasons that we saw, for example, NFT saga to raise to the heights immediately and die down, was that reason that there were people who were not actually caring about technology, and they wanted to seize the opportunity. They were all this fast money moves. Let me, I don't know, sell something, make money today, without actually thinking what happens long. Because if you remember, when the entire NFT story started, it was like, oh, it's gonna revolutionize the ticketing. We're gonna use NFT tickets for airplanes and concerts, and I don't know, university diplomas. It is not possible to tamper, so on, so on, and so on. All we ended up is, I don't know, two, three monkeys and two, three pixels. Eventually, some people made money. Today, they lost its value totally. It was market manipulation. And this amazing technology that could actually change life for millions disappeared. No one anymore kind of talks about it. It's so small. And I think that's the sad part about entire crypto, is that most of the time, because it's about money, because people want to make money quick, And even from the beginning, the whole narrative was about someone investing $100 and becoming a millionaire overnight. That narrative continues, and that appetite continues, and people want to get rich quick and make the money quick, and that harms industry in a long run. Therefore, in my opinion, these large institutions, I would call like the centralized exchanges or big VCs, the companies that actually hold power, and companies actually served industry to onboard users, to bring people in the crypto scene, should actually take a responsibility and make sure that we don't let things go and we don't let things collapse because someone wants to make quick money.
Going back to the Bybit hack, so there is a kind of way to mark the bitcoins or like Ethereum or the coins that were stolen. How does it like work? Do you have like a system in place that is like flagging a user if someone is trying to use those funds that were stolen, for example, from Bybit?
First and foremost, I believe Bybit announced a bounty program that people can track and report the stolen assets in order to be able to be blocked. Second important part, referring back to your question about the self-custody and centralized custody, as a centralized exchange, we work with authorities, we work with the customer complaints, and if a stolen asset ends up in a centralized exchange, we can freeze that asset. But if that asset doesn't pass through centralized exchanges, passes through cold wallets, it passes through some decentralized marketplace, it's very hard to do something with them. You can actually track them, you saw what is happening, but you can't freeze them or you can't stop them. And that is an important point, that yes, you can track, but you can't actually see what's happening. But also, I want to give an understanding to the listeners. If an organization can tamper 5 6 machines in such an exchange in a secure environment, hack these machines and get an access and put that malicious smart contract and steal $1.4 billion, these people definitely are not amateurs and they're not stupid, because what they did, they stole Ethereum, they breached it, they eventually put it to kind of different meme tokens and pump and dump schemas, and then eventually they converted it back to the Bitcoin. And because they did so many transactions and so many bridging, they kind of it's not that they lost the track halfway through, they lost the track, but also they converted things to Bitcoin. And again, I think it's another great example to show that whether you are a government, whether you are a president, or whether you are an actor with a bad intention, kind of everyone goes back to the roots, everyone goes to Bitcoin, because probably it is the ultimate freedom tool, and therefore everyone wants to kind of have it on there. And to give you an understanding, because I think Bitcoin, no one controls it, it makes it this double-edged sword, that yes, it is free, yes, it is independent, but also it's about how you're going to use it. And most of the time, just because you track it, it doesn't mean you can do something with it.
Yeah, and especially like when you're exchanging it to so many other coins, like how does an exchange filter it out if I just got the coin because I was part of that meme coin frenzy, and then I ended up with like another coin and I did some kind of similar behavior, but without knowing that that coin has something to do with the hack or like something to do with something illegal. Because when you are like trading meme coins and stuff, like you don't look into the actual like funds, or like you don't like, yeah.
That is what I always recommend people, that mainly if you're investing big, it's always better to buy from a centralized exchange, because it's what we call a clean asset. Because assets, centralized exchange run a large AML processes. We look through every transaction, and most of the transactions classify as a dangerous or malicious transactions, that we look into it. But also there's something called stained wallet. Stained wallet is that wallet that associated at some point with scams or some fraud, that makes that activity very suspicious. And when you go and buy assets, I don't know, hand to hand from a friend, from a decentralized exchange, usually you don't know what kind of source it has. And there were so many cases across the industry where someone actually had an asset, brought it to centralized exchange, and exchange got a warrant from local authorities, local police, that, oh, this is actually seized assets, you have to freeze it because it is the scammers who scammed someone, and then they ended up here. And that is another important role that centralized exchange plays, to kind of keep this industry safe and sound. But also, when we look at all the transaction, I think today the centralized world has more transaction because they have more tokens. It is a little bit decentralized and decontrolled, which makes also it is an exciting place to play, definitely, and explore, but also do it at your own risk kind of a place. Because if you bought let's say a Bitcoin from BitGet and took it to the self-custody, even after 10 years something happens, you'll come and tell, I bought it from BitGet. And it's kind of a BitGet's responsibility to make sure that it is a clean asset and you have no responsibility, because you can show the source where you actually got it.
Yeah, and it's not just about like scams. There are like so many other, or like meme coins and scams, but there are other ways how people are trying to make money. And for example, what do you think about like these deepfake KYC scams? How does BitGet handle these kind of situations?
We are partnering with industry's leading provider called Samsung. They are very much focused on detecting AI deepfakes, and what they do is pretty smart. They use AI to detect AI because AI can recognize AI's pattern. It's kind of a catching bird with a bird. I live in Middle East, and in there they use eagles to hunt birds. I think it's a very smart move, and we've been very successful in doing so, because I remember back in times some of our competitors also lost a lot of funds and been victim of the crimes, because competitors, the scammers were using AI deepfakes to kind of gain access. But BitGet, because we have the systems in place and we work with all leading industry players, and AI, investing in AI is one of the biggest part of our investment strategy, that we deploy the most up-to-date softwares and AI agents that's available, both for operational purposes to optimize our output, but also for the technological purposes. Also, we were one of the first exchanges to introduce AI bot trading, and whatever is AI, we are really excited about it. And I think that is the smartest way, that sometimes machines can detect other machines better than humans can detect other machines, or the other way around.
So how does this AI bot trading works? Because back in the days, especially in 2017 or like 2018 rather, there were like so many of these companies, especially like here in Hungary. One of the biggest scams were like, okay, like it's gonna be bot trading and it's gonna like do mining for you at the same time, and then or the yield farming as we went on in time. And then there were like inventions. Everyone promised that you're gonna have more money if you use their services. There was nothing behind these things, so obviously like they were not like used by crypto professionals in general. But like it would be very interesting to know like how does it work. Does it work even?
It does work. It does work. It does work for two important reasons. First and foremost, because AI is not sentient, doesn't have a feelings. They don't act on a feeling. They act on a very simple logic of buying cheap and selling expensive. That humans usually don't do, because we always believe it can go upper and upper and upper. We don't fix because I don't know, even when I trade myself, I always have this greed that, no, it might go upper. Let me wait another, I don't know, a day or two. I don't know, another hour or two. Or sometimes when it goes down, panic and panic sell or panic buy. There's so many things happen, right? But technology doesn't work like this, because technology is about just rendering a data, and they can render more and more data, whether it is news, whether it's a tweet, whether it is looking at other trades, what's happening. And because there's a great pattern also established, what others do, what order book looks like, how many people put more buy orders or sell orders. And also AI and bots are much faster than humans. That factors combined makes it very exciting tool, the AI grid bots. And I always say, like, for me, whatever tool is provided is usually not like a turnkey solution. It's not like you put your money and you come home and the AI does everything for you and does 100x for me. Whether you are doing a copy trading, whether you are educating yourself, whether it's AI trading for you, each should set the stage, and then you have to do tweaks into that strategy to make it kind of your ideas fit. And if you do that, if you kind of use it as a stepping stone, it definitely will make a world of a difference. But if you just want to rely on something, probably it won't work 100% because nothing works 100%. And I'm telling this based on our experience because we are the world's largest crypto copy trading platform. We are the number one. We have more than 200 traders that post their trades to be copied, and more than a million people copy these trades. I see that there are so many successful traders. There have been so many successful traders that have done, I don't know, lost 100, 200 trades, all positive, but sometimes they come to two, three bad trades back to back because it's like a human element, right? And if you just trusted someone because he did 100 successful trades, that, oh, like I will put my money and forget, it wouldn't work. But if you could recognize the pattern, if you could understand their logic and kind of apply or combine two, three traders' logic, would can make you much more money and also educate yourself how you can do it. Therefore, in my opinion, copy trading, AI, bot, grid, whatever you are doing, whatever tool you're exploring, is there for a beginning. It is your kind of a canvas. It is your first stage to understand how things work. But then you have to always add your own thinking behind. And I can give you an example. Like whenever you read a food blog and recipe, at the end it says like add salt and pepper as per your taste. And I think whatever you do, trade is like this. You always have to add your salt and pepper based on your taste, whether you are more risk adverse, whether you are more want to play it safe. All this you can do by kind of adding your touch.
Yeah, and also like with AI, I mean, we do use it and we do trust it a lot, but especially now, so many people are using ChatGPT and Gemini instead of Google even. And sometimes AI hallucinating, like they are not giving you the right answers, and then people are taking it as if it was written in a book. So I don't know. It's
That is the danger of a single truth, because previously we would go to Google, right? It will give us, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of answers and hundreds of sources, and we could go read and make our decision. But today, world is very fast. We've been, I don't know, addicted to scrolls up 15 seconds. We want everything to happen very fast. Our attention span is short. Our patience is short, and what it comes with actually makes us to believe that there's a single truth someone gonna tell us. It's yes and no kind of an answer, and that is the danger. And it's not only the danger of the AI not being smart, AI not having enough data, but it's also danger in the long run, because AI is in the hands of certain corporations, certain big investors that can reshape the way we think about stuff, reshape about what the truth is. And that is a very, very big danger, because in my opinion, the reason, like the way, for example, academia works, you have to publish a paper and it should be peer reviewed. And only after this it will be recognized. Therefore, we always have to understand or have a room to judge and understand that most of the time there's no single truth. There are multiple truths depending on the nature. Even for the physics, right? Everyone knows that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but those who went to school and studied physics, they know that actually the pressure heavily influences the degree that water boils, and if it is on the top of the mountain, has a different boiling point rather than at, I don't know, 2 kilometers deep down on the earth. Therefore, while the single truth kind of on a surface makes sense, but in a deeper level there are so many variables that can actually affect the answer. And I think with AI, and not only AI as a technology, but the fact that AI is in a not decentralized, AI is in the hands of the large corporations, makes it very, very dangerous for the, I think, future generations to come.
Yeah. Do you use like your own trained AI to do this kind of trading bots or like the AI trading?
When it comes to trading, we have like a sophisticated technology. in place, but also we have a platform where different AI providers can join the similar way that the copy traders can join. And we have so many successful traders that actually launched their bots that were trained on their trades and logic. And it is, again, it's like a large avenue to learn. And there are so many cool ways that this AI technology can ease our life. Like I also use AI a lot at my life, whether it is writing an email, whether it is creating a visual. And I must admit that it's kind of a life saving, and that was one of the also reasons that BitGet could grow this fast with this lesser headcount than all our competitors, because we could maintain a small team of 1,800 people with very efficient ways, and we were lucky that we had an access and we invested a lot to AI technology to keep things faster and productive. And definitely, like, AI has a lot of implications, but again, as I mentioned, like, going to AI for a single answer, yes or no answers, is dangerous.
So when it comes to expansion, what do you think? Is it Latin America that's gonna be faster in adoption in terms of Bitcoin and crypto, or is it like Africa?
I think both Africa and Latin America has a similar history when it comes to adoption. And sometimes when I go to developed countries, whether it's Switzerland, European markets, even US, like when you live in an industry where everyone has a credit card, you can open a bank account, access to the neobanks, and so on and so on and so on, you don't feel the need for the crypto. But when we look at Latin America, Venezuela, Colombia, all these countries, Argentina itself, the biggest push for adoption was the geopolitical situation, the war, and also the fact that the peso lost its value. And then what people had to do, they had to access, you wanted to get an access to foreign currency, but government central bank had a policy where they had like a black market rate and official rate, which harmed them industry hugely. And people had no other option than actually go and invest in USDT and stable coins. That moved adoption. The same we saw happen in Turkey. More and more people, because the Turkish lira was losing its value, everyone kind of wanted to hold your assets in US dollars or USDT as a kind of a stable coin. And compared to the traditional banks, buying and selling was very expensive, while crypto buy and sell is kind of a one-on-one and the commissions are super small. And relatively the same happening in Africa. Like the most of adoption is coming not because people kind of are enlightened and everyone knows that, oh, crypto is the next big thing. No, because you have a need. Like you go to Argentina, even taxi accepts a crypto payment because it's a need. It is you are forced to it. The same with Turkey, same with Africa, and that kind of adoption is much different than an adoption of a wealthy nations where people come to crypto to invest, to hedge, and do all these like a sophisticated things. Whether you go to Middle East, for example, there are so many large family offices and they invest a lot in crypto. And all the time I talk to them, they're like, yes, we are just using it as a hedging opportunity in order to balance it out. It is not kind of a small investment for us. They don't much care about like a long-term performance. This is pure hedging for them. This is kind of a different need than anything else. Which one is more important? I definitely don't know. Of course, for mass adoption, we need more people and its usage in a day-to-day life. And whenever like we were talking among our colleagues, and everyone, for example, is very excited about America and President Trump and all these reserves, and I say that for me, actual revolution would be if president goes and tells that crypto is legal tender, all businesses can accept crypto payments, all the salaries paid in crypto is accepted legal, and you can then go, I don't know, get a credit, pay your taxes and pension, and it will be treated as a pure way of transaction. That could be a revolution, not the quick way of jumping and making money and so on. That is kind of my understanding, and that's my thinking. Therefore, like, for adoption, we need crypto being accepted as a payment opportunity rather than investment opportunity. And I always say that in last 2 years it became very prominent, and in the next 2-3 years it will be much more prominent, where we educate the users how to not only earn money in crypto but actually live on chain and spend in crypto. And there should be more and more opportunities where you can spend your crypto without actually transferring it to paper money.
Yeah, because otherwise you are exiting the system. And
Definitely.
then you're going back to the normal fiat system, and then what's the point at some point? Like recently, we just had a podcast with a Lebanese businessman who is like trying to educate people in the middle of like the war zone about how to get Bitcoin and how to use Bitcoin. But one of the problems were that they lose their IDs, they cannot do KYC because of that. Do you have some kind of solution for that? Or like how does KYC and AML comes to BitGet?
BitGet's been 100% KYC'd for last couple of years, and it's a very important factor that we know who we deal with because of the safety and transparency and all the other aspects we mentioned. When it comes to AML, AML is a system where you look at every single transaction and try to understand, is it a legit transaction or is it a malicious transaction? Is someone trying to do something wrong there? And it's run by a very sophisticated technology and by very sophisticated people to make sure that everything runs and smoothly. But good thing about being a customer at a centralized exchange is that we offer a customer support. We are always there if something goes wrong, that you can come and explain us what is your problem and how we can solve it. And we always try to give a lot of opportunities to people to prove that who they are and how we can do it. I think we accept more than 5,000 forms of the documents across the world to do KYC. Like you losing, I don't know, your ID isn't just a factor, right? You can have a passport and driving license and many, many other options. And in most cases, if you lost lost your KYC opportunity, you still have a chance to withdraw your funds. You can't deposit funds, and this is again a safety. But also, as I mentioned, like as an exchange, there are so many ways that we can locate people's fund and bring it back. While if you do self custody or decentralized exchanges, probably you don't have it.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about like inheritance of Bitcoin? That's obviously like way easier when it comes to an exchange. If I store it on there, then some part of my funds could be inherited by my family.
Basically, inheritance works the way that if you actually, I don't know, you are the next in kin and you have the proper documents, you can always come and claim this fund through the authorities and through the exchange. And if it's a self custody, definitely the person should have left you the seed phrases or the wallet unless you couldn't access. But also, I think it is another point that most of the time, like people don't plan for things, and especially we don't plan for death, and maybe that there is something is in there, but eventually you don't know, right? And today everyone has, I don't know, 5-6 exchange accounts at least. I don't know how one can locate these funds, and I hope that people on time communicate to their loved ones and to their next in kins that, oh, I do have assets in BitGet, and either this is the access to it, go recover it if something happens to me, or whenever I die, it's on my will and you can get it. I think that is more or of a like a legal end of the questions rather than what is the procedure. But as I mentioned, like great part about being a part of an exchange is that there's a customer care, there's so many opportunities. At least we are foundable, right? You know where our offices are, you know who to reach out, you know where to work with the attorneys and have this direct communication. But if there are assets in a decentralized exchange and you don't have an access wallet, probably it's gone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are like so many things that we need to understand in this world, and then yeah, it's just sorry to bring it up. I know it's not like a very nice topic in just general. Like I've been really, really looking into these kind of topics recently because I'm really interested in knowing, because especially in my family, I'm the only one who does crypto. Now my auntie also does cryptos. So we arrived to that
One
point
family
after like
member at a time.
Yeah, yeah. So now I feel one step closer to actually be comfortable about like this topic, but yeah, in general, like I know that there is like so much education that needs to happen until like it will be just like, yeah, I know that she probably had 5 exchange accounts, so let me look into that, or something like that. Do you do some kind of education, or like is there like an entry educationary platform that I need to do before I start trading at BitGet?
We have a lot of resources on education on BitGet Academy and also on our YouTube channel. Very useful information for everyone to use. And we also work with a lot of our affiliate partners, influencers, to create a content in different languages as a BitGet. And as a person myself, as a kind of a crypto, like a missionary, let's say, my idea or my strategy is very funny. And for the ones who listen to me, like you can use it to bring an interest of your family. For last year and a half or 2 years, instead of buying birthday gift, New Year gift, I just buy either a small Bitcoin or USDT and create a wallet, send the seed phrase to these people, or force them to open an exchange account and send them that assets. What usually happens that I send people don't pay attention, but 3, 4, 5 months passes, and what I see usually, what happens that people see in the news Bitcoin price went up or something crypto happened. I don't know, Trump launched his token. They call back. They're like, oh yeah, you sent me on my birthday. Oh, you sent this New Year gift. What can I do now? And this is a very good conversation starter. And for the sneaky ones, why I prefer giving a BitGet wallet access with the seed phrases, because then you can keep a copy of seed phrases, and after a year or two, if they didn't do anything with that assets, you can pull it back. They're kind of a you recover and recycle your gift. Of course, it's a very evil plan. I haven't done it yet, but yeah, lesson learned hard.
That's actually a good idea. You can rug pull your own family.
If they didn't use the money for 2 years, they deserve it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they probably forget about that already. So that, but yeah, that's actually a good idea. This is a very good tip. This is a very good tip. So if you could design the perfect exchange, free from all regulations, technical constraints, how would it look like?
Honestly, like when it comes to regulations, people always think that like a crypto people hate regulations. Actually, we are the first one to run whenever some government says that, oh, we're gonna do license. We are like kind of with all the papers at the door waiting for them to answer. I don't much. I'm not much concerned about regulation. But if I could design a great exchange, I would probably want to come up with a big red button theory where with one click people can onboard. Today we have too many clicks because of the legal requirements, because of safety and security. Like since someone, let's say, downloads BitGet app or opens a BitGet website, until they register, until they KYC, until they can actually acquire an asset, it's a pretty hustle. And today we take a huge pride telling that BitGet is one of the simplest platforms. We operate in like one platform that is simple enough for both light user and pro users, while our competitors has two different versions of their apps and products. But still, unfortunately, crypto is really, really complicated. We are trying to solve it. We are trying to make it easier and easier. But in my opinion, it could be much simpler. It should be much simpler, that people don't have to go through all these complications. And as I mentioned in the beginning, like today our attention span is so short. If something at some point goes wrong, people close the app. People forget about it. They go to TikTok and they scroll. They go to Instagram. They go check their mails, and they completely forget if they are stuck at any point. And therefore, in my opinion, there should be an easier way, or to build that super app where people can onboard with a click or two. And that is one of the biggest like a product development that myself and my team, we constantly think, and we always think about how we can simplify it, how we can make it easier, what it will be the best for the users, most intuitive way. And that could fuel the adoption. And a great example to this was, in my opinion, that the centralized exchanges introduced the social logins through emails and mobile numbers instead of seed phrases, that made it an easier step for users to hop from Web 2 to Web 3. But what else can be done? I think that is what we have to think about.
How come that you're not concerned about regulations? Because that can also like limit your overall existence, no?
Okay, I think as a crypto industry, when we look at the full industry, I do care about regulations, because regulations most time are very limiting. And the greatest examples to this is the MiCA regulations, where I always say, like, as a startup, you would rather hire 3 developers than 3 lawyers. And this regulation is so complicated that probably will kill the Europe's innovation. But as a centralized exchange, for us, it is easier to have a legal clarity and understand our boundaries and work upon this, rather than we know what happened to Binance in US, right? There wasn't a legal clarity, but at some point they've been hit by the court cases, fines, and even jail time, which would not happen if there was a clear framework. And in my opinion, that everyone always says that, oh, crypto decentralized, they don't like, I don't know, legal clarity, the legislation is coming. But again, like, look at BitGet. We've been applying licenses for licenses right and left. We are illegal in so many countries. We are waiting for license approval in so many places. And so does almost all our exchange competitors and also partners, that everyone were the first one to go and apply. Because when we go to the government authorities, I constantly see or hear about our colleagues from OKX, Binance, Bybit, that they're also passing through the same legal procedure, and everyone is kind of always trying to be ahead of each other. It was never that, oh, there is a, I don't know, if the deadline is in a 3 months, we're gonna apply it. No, actually, the moment the legislation comes out, we kind of a rush to go through it, because when things are clear, it's easier to operate. And at the end of the day, I say today's crypto exchanges is more like a bank-like organization. We are moving towards being fully compliant, because we also serve institutions and large players, not only retail. And it is very important for us to make sure that we serve our customers compliantly and transparently. And when I say I'm not kind of scared or bothered about the compliance, is that when it is clear, it's easier to understand what we have to do and what we are going to do. And also, legislators needs to be very clear, because I'm sure you are following the news and you know all this drama around MiCA regulations and USDT, and kind of exchanges, including Binance. They listed USDT in Europe because they are in the process of getting full license. And eventually, MiCA authorities came and told that, no, actually, we are not against USDT. What? Like, why you force everyone to delist it and you come and tell that, no, now I'm not against? I think that is like another factor that we need to kind of factor in to understand, like, where the authorities stand. And the legislation, in my opinion, should be clear and easier, and not only focus on large players and to control them. Actually, it should also fuel the innovation and development. In my opinion, one of the greatest example is the Middle East, like a Dubai, Abu Dhabi. The way they deal with crypto and crypto legislation, they're much forward than most of the Western counterparts. And mainly we talk about crypto, but especially when you look at the blockchain adoption in the Middle East, almost all the Dubai's government, smart government, which is paperless, runs on blockchain, which is, in my opinion, is another great example showing that technology, with or without a crypto and investment cryptocurrencies, is actually life changing. And the fact that the governments can benefit it is very, very important. And we have to think about, when we do the crypto regulation and digital asset, we have to think that how we can invest more money, bring more money, and actually fuel innovation rather than cut a knot.
Yeah, I mean, like the Middle East is definitely like forward in every other area when it comes to that. So they are definitely like with the taxes and crypto and blockchain in general. It's definitely different than here in Europe, and especially as you said it with the MiCA regulations, it's never been clear enough, to build under this, and I feel like for some reason there are like so many Hungarian people in crypto, or Hungarians in crypto that are building, but most of them don't live in Hungary anymore for the same reason. They rather live in Dubai or in Malta or like in other places where taxes are lower, and then you just kind
Taxes,
of open your
legislation is
company.
easier, and that is the one thing that money leaves the economy, right? And that is the one of the biggest problem, because the way industries develop is that, for example, someone develops a good technology, makes more money, and eventually he goes and invests to new startups, and more startups come. But when you limit and you force startups to have, I don't know, go through this legal process, I don't know, do all this like a hustle where they kind of shift your attention from developing and building into the like a dealing with the authorities, and eventually money escapes the economy and it goes to somewhere else. And this is one of the biggest problems. And another good example is how new Trump administration is trying to do their best, at least on their narrative, to bring the crypto back to Silicon Valley. And good luck with that. In my opinion, it's long, long gone. And now with stricter regulations, I think it will be also shifting from the Europe. And I'm sure we will be seeing a lot of great ventures coming out from Latin America, Africa, in Southeast Asia, or like a global South, as we call it. There will be more development, and I think that will be dominating the crypto revolution. And maybe that is one of the reasons why the traditional establishments in the West are so much against the crypto, and they try to benefit maximum, but they don't care much because they understand that it is one of the newest places and newest industries that they can't dominate.
Now that you mentioned the legacy systems, is there anything that they do better than crypto, if anything?
Compared to how all the legacy systems are, I don't think they do. And but we also need to understand that legacy systems has a very huge roadblock. For hundreds of years, there were banks, and still majority of the world population doesn't have an access to bank accounts. They are unbanked, and also most of the unbanked people are women, almost 70%, which is a crazy number, considering how long the banking system was in there. In my opinion, legacy system or banking systems, or like the financial systems, are there to kind of make rich and keep the poor poor. And that is one of the reasons why they don't like crypto, because it is about the shifting the narrative, giving power back to people. And that's a great part of the crypto, where you can enter without a barrier. It is quicker, it is faster, and this is what the legacy system doesn't like about us. But in my opinion, there are so many things that they do well, and they do well not because they are smart, but because they are well lobbied and well put together. We see how large banks cooperate with each other in transactions, and how big corporations work with together with each other, especially in like cross-border transfers, and also how the banks work with central banks and governments to kind of push the policies and legal actions, which is not kind of happening in crypto yet. But also, as I mentioned, like crypto is 10, 15 years old, and there's a huge opportunities in front. And I believe kind of this is a place where we can draw a distinction, but also we have to understand that traditional legacy systems, and when we talk about banking system, it is not only the like a banks in each country, it is a large hedge funds, large private equity firms, and there are so many things that come together. And for example, today, if you want to take your company public at the New York Stock Exchange, you still have to go through banks. And these banks are kind of a reshaping global economy. The banks are the largest providers of the assets and liquidity to airlines, airports, big factories and investment projects, because they hold so much wealth and global wealth, and they move global money. That, as I mentioned in the beginning, crypto is only 3 trillion dollar market cap, which is very small, and it can never be compared to all these large corporations that move money across.
Is Lightning withdrawals will be available on BitGet's system, or is it already available?
Yeah, I think we already introduced that some time ago.
Yeah, just I was just thinking that like how could we actually make it like easier for people to spend their coins and then leave the legacy system behind. Because like, for example, our Bitcoin basis shop accepts lightning payments. So, and then you even get a discount if you are paying by Bitcoin.
That's cool. But for the ones who want to live on chain, with BitGet, my favorite product is BitGet Card. It is built on Visa and Master system, but it is purely on the USDT base, USDT denominated card. You can move all your assets and transact anywhere globally. It is definitely not as like a native transaction similar to, I don't know, paying with Ethereum, Bitcoin, but it is still kind of helping you to stay on chain and without a need to withdraw money, put it in your bank and pay commissions.
And also, like, I don't know if the card works as a credit card as well, so you can borrow against your assets. But I just recently learned that basically, if you borrow against your assets and then you use a credit card, then it's not taxable income. So even if you are spending your profit, like in Hungary, apparently it's not a taxable income if you are using a credit card based on crypto.
Okay, the idea of credit and loan, because if you put a collateral on an asset to borrow against, for example, at BitGet you can take up to 70%. Let's say you put $100 and you earn a yield on top, and then you borrowed 70% of it, $70, and you spend. Because you spent a borrowed money, it's not taxable. But it is taxable when you take your principal, because you have to take your principal and pay for your loan at some point, right? And then it becomes a capital gain that you have to pay tax.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like it's not like
So
an infinite money glitch that you borrow and you spend. Yes, you borrow, you spend. The borrowing money is not taxable, but it is taxable when you have to return it.
then you just have to make sure that you stay in the loop somehow. Yeah, so let's end on a fun note. If you could orange pill one famous person, who would it be and why?
I always believe that sometimes like people with so much power can influence things in a very good way and in a very bad way. And we saw how Kanye West could build a billion-dollar empire, but also ruin it in a one day with one single tweet. Therefore, I would rather orange peel the legislators who make the legislation in different countries and make them smarter, that they can actually think about not only how to finance tax but actually how to help adoption. And I think that would be much beneficial than orange pilling Kardashian telling everyone go buy Bitcoin. I'm sure it could definitely work, but I don't think it would work the way that can propel the industry's development in next 100 years.
Yeah, that's true. What is the lookout for BitGet for 2025? What are the most important developments that you are looking for forward?
I think like today, because we have 100 million users, we are the second largest industry player. We are the second largest crypto exchange. We are very strong both in derivatives market, in trading volume. We are second in spot. We are third or fourth. Our main goal will be to kind of keep our spot, to make sure that we kind of cement our position, and eventually narrow the gap between Binance and become the world's leader. Even though they are having 240 million users, it will be a very kind of a important journey for us, but we are all for a healthy competition, and we believe that we can propel ourselves there. But when it comes to more of an operational ideas and how we can reach this goal, first and foremost, I think not only 2025, next 2 3 years, it will be very important for us to focus on with our work with the legislators and the government for the compliance. Second important part for us is focusing on institutions and how we can cooperate with large institutions to bring both investment opportunities, but also to develop more ways to, as I mentioned, spend on chain, whether it is accepting the payment, whether helping different institutions to accept crypto payments. And lastly, our main focus as the growth in the market, it is Latin America, it is Southeast Asia, where we already have a strong position. We want to cement it. And definitely it is Eastern Europe and Turkey, where we're already prominent. We've been investing for so many years now. but it is a market with a huge opportunities. And recently we had a discussion with our CEO, Grace Chen, and she did a great interview right after the President Trump's election, that if the legal framework changes and US government kind of decides to open its arms to the crypto companies, probably entering US market could be another great opportunity. But I'm not sure with current situation and President Trump just signing executive orders that could be even banned by a district judges. I don't think it is the right place where we are at, and I don't think 2025 will be the year that we can see such a rapid change. But also, you never know, right? But in my opinion, it's an exciting year, definitely, and it's a very important year for us because for last 2 years we've been growing intensively. And for me, it's not growth is not the end goal. End goal is actually sustaining that growth and keeping the positions you are at.
Thank you, Vugar. Is there anything that we didn't talk about in this episode and you think it would be important for our listeners to hear?
I think one thing I really want to kind of recommend to our users is that don't ride the hype and focus on long-term goals, especially for the newbies. If you are new in the industry, try to play it safe. There is no danger. Don't be allured by the shines and all the news, all these rushes, people buying and selling. My one piece of a gold advice that I received long ago, and I want to suggest to everyone, is dollar cost averaging, putting a schedule and buying in frequently in a small portions. But also, I have another tip. It's not only about buying in dollar cost averaging, especially when the market is turbulent and you want to sell. Selling in portions and dollar cost averaging your sales could actually benefit you as much as you buy, because it will give you the kind of a best average rather than selling it and at some point then sitting and being sad that, oh my god, the market, I don't know, I could made extra $10,000 and I didn't do because I sold earlier. Therefore, in my opinion, don't rush, take it slow, but also invest in things that you truly believe rather than following the hype. Then you will never be sad, and chances that you will lose is much lower in that case.
And where can we reach you if we want to reach out to you? Is there any way that we can pose our questions to you, or like should they leave it in the comments below and then we reach out to you?
Definitely comments below, and all my socials have the same handle, which is UCD Talk, or you can just type my name. And I think it is the blessing and curse of being so accessible. Everything from customer compliance and CVs for job position I often receive, and as much as I can, I try to reply everyone. And most of the time, I do it by myself. Therefore, please feel free, especially if you are a BitGet user or you're planning to onboard to BitGet, you have a suggestion about our products, how we can make the life easier for you or the product better, please do reach out to me. I'm always happy to hear you and to help you and take your ideas and make it actually work.
So thank you so much for the conversation, Vugar. I really appreciate your time and all the effort that you put into building the industry. And I hope that every hour that you put into BitGet will pay off, and then you actually win the competition against Binance. And I haven't tried your products yet, but but now it's gonna be.
You have to open and download the app now before we close this conversation.
No, it's gonna happen, because now you actually convinced me to try it, because I'm excited about especially seeing how AI trading works. That's really
It is a
exciting.
cool one, and I'm sure you'll be impressed. And also for all football enthusiasts listening to us, because we are partnering with Spanish football league, La Liga, there's a lot of opportunities to win actually tickets to the La Liga matches. Therefore, a lot of opportunities not only to trade but also to have fun. Please do join BitGet and explore what the life has to bring to you. And I'm sure you'll be very much impressed, not with our product, but also with our offerings and these cool perks that come with being part of a BitGet community.
Thanks for tuning in to Bitcoin Kebab, the podcast by Bitcoin.